Hey guys, this is Nick from Threat X3 Productions, and today me and Nate are going to have a discussion about Honey Boy, the movie written by and starring Shia LaBeouf, and it's a kind of loose representation of his life. We're going to give our thoughts and everything. If you would like to hear this and more segments on our podcast, Nerd Radio, you can find it on all podcast services like Spotify, Apple, Breaker, Radio Public at Nerd Radio. That's N3RD Radio, stands for National Nerd Net Radio Direct.
Also watched Honey Boy.
Yeah. I did too, so this is perfect. We can kind of interchange ours. What's your overall thoughts on it?
So I watched the movie in two halves. I watched like 45 minutes of it last night, and then I finished it this morning.
Okay.
So I kind of had a good actual break. The first half of the movie, I was unsure about. Because the way it started, I thought it was going to be like a traditional artistic movie I've seen like that, where it's like having a through plot basically.
Right.
And it was just more like it played almost more like a documentary, like a candid documentary than like
sorta
in our trying to. But when I finished it, I was like, oh no, okay, like that was. As a whole unit, I was like, okay, I like that a lot more than I thought, but it was also a lot different than I thought.
Yeah.
The one of the things that I had, I think, jotted down so I could remember to talk about is I described this movie as having a very delayed reaction. Like when I finished it, I was like, okay, I finished the movie. And that was, like I said, only a few hours ago. I'm sitting here stewing on it more, and I'm like, okay, there's stuff that I'm realizing. Okay. Like as I'm processing it, I'm understanding the movie more, and I'm getting a better enjoyment out of it in a way, and like a respect and appreciation. Like I feel like after watching that, I feel for Shia LaBeouf. Like any grief that I feel like I ever gave him in the past, like I'm like, I want to be like, I'm sorry, dude.
Right.
I'm genuinely sorry.
Just want to give him a hug.
Yeah.
I mean, it is interesting because it's kind of one of those situations where it's like, obviously we're talking to like the survivor, so to speak, versus like the actual person. So how much of that obviously is dramatized, how much of it is exaggerated, because he's the one telling it. Not to say that being abusive is okay, and so therefore we need to hear the father's side. No, abuse is not okay, but it is also, it's just like how much of that actually happened versus how much are they trying to make for the movie, obviously. Like, did he really live in a motel when he was making, Even Stevens? Like, or is that just exaggeration?
Do you watch the Hot Ones shows ever on YouTube?
No.
The Sean Evans, the one where they'll do interviews eating hot wings?
No.
Okay, so that's a good series. There's a lot of different episodes, but Shia LaBeouf was on one whenever they were doing the initial marketing run for Honey Boy. And watching that, I would just YouTube Shia LaBeouf, Hot Wings, Honey Boy. That might be a weird combination. But when he was talking about it, that made me feel differently about the movie, because he was like, it's one of those things, like it's, there's a couple things in there, like stylistically it's different. He was like, but I mean, that's like, I wanted to stay true to what I experienced. And the thing is, I didn't want to make my dad out to be a bad guy. So that was whenever I was making this movie, my main goal was to have him not necessarily approve, but like he wanted to know his opinion when he was making the movie. So it's not like it was made, my father was terrible to me, I hated him, like I'm going to show how much of a bad person he was. It was like, that was, from my understanding, genuinely what happened, and he was just showing how his life was, Does that not make sense what I'm saying?
Well, no, it's just like you're saying he wasn't trying to show him as a bad dad. It's like, mission failed.
No, he wasn't trying to characterize him as a bad dad. He was showing that that was the person he was. What I'm saying is he's not trying to be like, hey, my dad was a villain, let me show you how bad of a person he was, like, to get out. Like, I feel like it's making sense what I'm saying.
No, it makes sense to a certain degree, but that's not how the movie was. So
He's not trying to villainize his dad on purpose. Let me put it that way.
On purpose,
He's genuinely showing what his experience was.
I mean, but the thing is that by showing what it was, he is villainizing him. So I think that maybe he was just trying to save face or something. You know, trying to show people that no, I am just trying to show. But it's like in general,
the fact that he played his own dad, I feel like adds another layer to it.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting. As far as like, you know, him putting himself in his dad's shoes, you know, maybe that gave him a different appreciation for it. But I mean, I guess it's just weird. It's just weird to hear that. Oh, I wasn't trying to make my dad the villain. He just was. That's the way I hear that. Is that I didn't try to make him a bad dad. He just was. That's the way I hear it. And I'm like, But it's like, then why'd you make the movie? Like, to me, that's just a weird thought process to be like, oh, I don't want to make my dad look like a bad dad. Well, it's like, but he is, and you showed it, and you show how bad he was. So that seems like a very flawed outlook on the way you're making your movie. Is he was a bad dad. He abused you emotionally, physically, you know. So to say that, oh, I didn't try to do that, it's like, but you kind of did. I mean, you didn't try to make him look good.
So, and this is obviously going to be spoilers for Honey Boy because they're, you know, I mean, but the reason why he made this movie is shown at the end, which is what I think added on to the movie for me of making me enjoy it more. And that's what I thought was interesting the entire time is all the kid stuff we're playing as flashbacks, like him, and that's what I love too is you can clearly tell he was shooting Transformers when he was going through that time period because I mean it's clear as day. Like, you know, what they have the little alien sound effects. 2005 is when they were, you know, shooting the movie. The movie came out. Actually, I think the movie came out in 2007. But anyway.
But he would have been filming it in 2005.
Correct. So, on the track of, like, the present day stuff, when he's, like, you know, talking with the therapist or his probation officer, whoever it is, like, the way they're portraying that, or the way I understood it, was what she was having him do on that exercise, like, jotting down all of his memories on paper to like, get rid of them. He's wanted to make this movie since 2005.
True, yeah.
So like why it's made is for his mental health, which that's something that I did want to talk about, like movie review, everything else aside, as an understanding of someone with mental health issues. Let's process this for a second. He played his father, his abuser, and committed the abuse his father did. Talk about try to process how full circle that is for you to like find the target of your dismay and how therapeutic that must be to act that out and get that. Like, I wonder if he had a weight lifted off his chest once he completed that. But I mean, it's one of those two. I recognize that with Shia, but there was a lot of times, like especially the later scenes when he comes back from the strip club, I didn't know who that person was. Like, he fully invested into that character of his dad, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Shia LaBeouf did a wonderful job. I feel like the different versions of his self did really good as well. Like, the kid, my freaking God, what a good actor. Like, it's almost a travesty that, like, kids that young can't be, you know, nominated for something, because that was amazing. Like, the absolute, like, anguish and the fact that, like, that one scene where he imagined his dad just telling him he loved him, like, that was freaking heartbreaking. That was so heartbreaking, because it's like the only time his dad's ever told him he loved him is, like, in his mind or something, you know? And it's like, you know, and it is interesting, like you said, how he's playing his dad, so he's having to go through that. He's trying to, you know, in order to fully embody that character, he's trying to imagine why his dad would have done that, and it was really to push him or whatever, but it's just obviously it was the wrong freaking way, you know?
Yeah, the thing that I think, the scene that got me the most, I think, is the one that's directly after that. You're talking about whenever he was, like, standing outside, like, crying, The scene that got me after that, which is, I mean, isn't something that's bad personal, but I know that there were parts in my life where, like, my dad was either yelling at me for something, or, you know, it wasn't like being a bad dad, but like, hey, you know, you should be or doing something, or wasn't giving me some kind of attention because he was working, and I had to be like an adult like he did in some of those moments, and was like, you got to stop. And like, you know, I basically just talked to him like, hey, stop, you know, like, we need to, like, and I was like, here, let me tell you what's going on with me right now. And he respected that. He respected me for that. And I know people who, like, that's something that's probably been done before, and like most of the time, like, depending on the person, like, they'll respect you, like, speaking your mind and, you know, standing up for yourself. Like, that's something that I feel like dads always do, is they want you to stand up for yourself. The part that got me, that broke me the most, is when he did that. And I sympathize with that, because I've gone through that before, of like trying to say, like, tell my side of the story, and like, hey, I'm messed up right now, help me. And the fact that he just ignored it and then just went to abuse like 100%, it was just like, oh my God, like, that's, I think, the hardest part of the movie.
Yeah,
honestly, that was so hard to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the whole movie, to a certain extent, was just hard to watch, because it was just like, because of how raw it was and how emotional it was. It was such an interesting thing. Now, I do want to get into some spoilers, so in the timestamps, we will make sure to say when we move on, because if you haven't seen it, if you have Amazon Prime, go look at it and then maybe come back to this part in the thing. But anyways, so I definitely want to go with some spoilers. I love the entire movie, but what did you think about the ending?
That was one of those that took me a minute to process.
Yeah.
Like, whenever he, like, I thought that was a 1-for-1 thing whenever he was walking back to the motel and, like, saw his dad there, and his dad was interacting and they had a conversation by the pool. Like, I believed that. I was like, it's weird that he's dressed up and that he's still in the hotel, but whatever. And then when it shows that clip of him being on the back of the motorcycle and then him being by himself, it was like, oh, okay, never mind. That was, like, him in his mind, like, basically forgiving his dad, or like letting that part of his life go, like starting a new chapter. I really enjoyed the end. I personally think that the ending is kind of what made it for me. Yeah. Like as a complete envelope, because like I said, I don't think I was expecting it to play more candidly like a documentary. Like you were talking about the kid's performance. That's exactly what I'm saying too. I didn't recognize this kid as an actor. I recognized this is like a real person I'm just watching. Yes. And so like that, because I wasn't expecting that for that first half, I was kind of like, but like when I started watching the really heavy stuff towards the end, I was like, okay, like I understand this. Like this isn't just a movie that he's wanted, like something he wanted to work on. This is therapeutic to him. He's wanted to do since over 10 years ago. Yeah. You know, and it's like, it's knowing that it's been that far in the making, so to speak, like if that's actually what happened, it's like, wow, like it's just powerful. Like you just shared, like this is so Shia LaBeouf too, his artistic side. You just shared a part of your life with everyone. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, like the ending for me, I felt like actually kind of lessened the entire movie. And I mean, maybe it's because, at least in my eyes, there wasn't really a resolution, because they were intercutting him going and talking to his dad to like him and his dad going, and he's like, I'm, growing pot off the side of the interstate. And so then right after that is when he talks to his dad and, I mean, I guess in a way forgives him, like you said. But it was just so weird. It's like, okay, so nothing interesting has happened since the point where he was growing pot to now. Like, after he showed him the pot, did they sell the pot? Did they become rich? Did they get a house? Did he start treating him better? Did he start treating him worse? Did he just treat him the same? Like, to end it right there, at least on the kid side. So I guess on the adult side, it made sense. He forgave his dad, and I get that artistic way of saying, I forgive you, Dad. He didn't outright say it, but like artistically he said, I forgive you, Dad. But on the kid side, the flashback side, that's the part where I feel like there wasn't really a resolution other than, hey, let's sell some pot. Here, you want to smoke some pot? It's like, fucking God, like that's a horrible dad to not only be like selling pot, but then having your son try some. It's like, wow. Like to a certain extent, that was like the worst part of the movie, in the sense I was like, Dad, I'm worried about you. I don't want you to get arrested. He's like, oh, no, it'll be fine. And then we don't hear anything else from the kid. So it's like, okay, I guess the only thing is that I just have so many questions.
about what happened from there to when he was 2005 and he was making Transformers. I feel like there was kind of some just left up to the imagination, which I guess is the point. But it's just like, okay, I don't know. It left off in such a weird spot. Because, of course, they were happy and they were smoking pot together. And it's like, oh, he's changed now. But it's like, well, he clearly didn't if this is how effed up you are. So, yeah, I don't know.
Honestly, thinking about it more, like you talking about it, it's another thing going to the delayed reaction. I think this movie was about his father. Like, because if it was just about him, I feel like there would have been more scenes with the kid, but I feel like there was an even amount of... So I honestly, and I might have to go back and watch that interview with Shia LaBeouf to see if I have a different understanding, but I think this was about telling the story of his dad and what was going on in that time period. So in that sense, right before that, they're like, okay, I understand. I'm going to try to be better. And they do the little pinky. So I don't know if he was better at that point, but like him, like, hey, look, I've started growing all this for you, basically, which is probably not true, but them having that bonding experience, I think that was like the end chapter for his dad, basically,
I guess,
of him being a bad person.
I just wish there would have been something a little bit more definitive. Like, there was, according to how his dad was acting the entire movie, there was no indication, at least to me, that he was suddenly going to change just because they can make money off a pot. If anything, that would have just spiraled him down into an even worse degree, at least in my eyes. So not showing me some type of resolution was just like, it left it up to the imagination. And yeah, there was a very much like poignant conversation with his dad, like, hey, I'm gonna make a movie about you. Oh, I hope you make me look good. Like, that was very poignant, but at the same time it was just like, okay. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I do agree with you. I feel like there could have been a lot more, like,
I don't know, like 30 seconds more just to show some type, like, show him back
his
at
growth.
The studio, but now he's acting way different than he was before. Something like that. Just something to kind of make me, okay, there's a resolution, But I guess that was sort of maybe the point, is that there was no resolution, and so now in his future self, he had to forgive his dad. I guess maybe that was part of the point. It's just, like, I guess I like the kid actor so much. I wanted to see him happy. And so as a father, like, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see that kid happy. And I never technically got to see him happy other than when he was smoking weed, which is a terrible thing to do with your kid.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll see. Here's the funny part. Like, this is the difference in opinion. I feel like it was worse him giving him the pack of cigarettes. But that's neither here nor there. So to put this in, like, other movie terms, I guess, I think both of us were expecting a more type of Bohemian Rhapsody kind of situation where the movie was an overall story, like it went from in the past to present day, whereas this, we only got the origin for this one instance.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, from there, theoretically, I mean, who knows? Like, from my understanding, we were getting shown him as he was making Even Stevens. So maybe this was just the pre-production of Even Stevens, and it wasn't until the end of the movie where he actually started making Even Stevens on a regular basis. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, it could also be that the movie was trying to show the reason why he is the way he is, and that's, like, there wasn't another reason to show him going crazy or anything else like that. It's because, like, hey, you want to know why I'm the person that I am. This is why. Right. So looking at it that way, it also does make it seem not as hollow, but it's one of those that I think it's one of those movies, it doesn't clearly give you what you want, but if you think on it more and look at it in a different light, you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, sure, why not? All right, so that's our thoughts on Honey Boy. Have you seen it? What do you guys think about it? Make sure to follow us at TX3 Productions on Twitter, on Instagram at ThreadX3 Productions. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell here. Give us a like. It really helps us out. Or you can just directly contact us at ThreadX3Productions@gmail.com. Thank you.